This week we are drawing Stan Laurel. Um, my first sketch I'm doing is just basically just testing out a few of his features. A lot of times I just like to do the overall shape of the head. And other times I start off with the features on the inside of the face. It really depends on which kind of stands out to me. So like if the guy has a huge beard, I might start with the beard first. Or if my eye catches or brings attention to maybe his nose or the inside of his face, like the eyes and the cheek area, then I'll start with that. I'll position it like in a way where it's kind of centered. So when I looked at this guy Stan, I tried to find a video. The internet's real slow. I wasn't able to watch, but maybe 2 minutes of a video. But I was able to look at a lot of pictures. So when I looked at his pictures, the first thing that I was drawn to, my eyes were drawn to, were his raised eyebrows and his eyes. The eyes, nose, cheek area, that little section of his face brought a lot of attention. So I wanted to exaggerate that the most. And of course, the overall shape of his head was similar to like a banana. It was just long. He has this long face going on. So even with his mouth closed, he still has a long face because of his long chin. So I wanted to kind of keep that. But as you can see, what I'm doing right there is just testing out a lot of the features. The hardest part was kind of caricaturing the inside of his face, the eyes and the cheek area and a smile. I wanted to capture his smile and bring it close to his eyes, because that's what it looks like when I kind of look at it from a caricature point of view. But then he had this long nose, so it was kind of tough to lengthen his nose and kind of draw back his mouth towards his eyes or nostrils. So that was a challenge. But as you can see, what I'm doing there and right now in the videos, I'm just kind of testing out how to move the features, and also he had this his chin is kind of towards his neck. He kind of brings it back if you look at some of the pictures. So what I'm doing is what I'm drawing is making his chin real even with his neck. So it's just one long rectangular oval shape in general. And a lot of times when I do that, when I draw a long square, a long triangle, or a circle as the overall shape of the head, it kind of constrains me with the likeness as far as the head shape, and then I have to fit the features within that shape, if that makes any sense. The eyebrows, as you can see, I'm trying to figure out how to while I'm sketching, I'm trying to figure out how to take him above the head, or kind of have him floating and then casting the shadow on top of his forehead. So as you can see, I'm just testing out a few things, how they look. I'll be erasing a few things and just kind of testing out how I can exaggerate his raised eyebrows and keep a likeness. So that's what I'm doing at the moment on the video. What I was going to say, oh, the ears. See how the overall shape is just long rectangular banana shape? The ears in the pictures, some of the pictures, they kind of stuck out, but because of the overall shape, I was constrained to keeping that shape. I had to keep that ear going upward or going in that direction. I had to keep it kind of flat so that the shape isn't changed. It's not a long rectangle with these wings hanging out. So it also brought the eyebrows up a little bit, if that helps. See, when the eyebrows go up in his pictures, it also in some way his ears also go up. Or when you bring up the ears, it'll draw the eyebrows a little bit higher. I also flap them back a little bit, kind of pushed them back behind his head just a tad, because on some of the side view pictures that I saw, his ears were really far backward. They were far back. So I kind of tried to capture that. That's why I didn't draw his earlobe. He has an earlobe. It's a circle shape towards the bottom of his ear, but I just kind of flattened it out and stuck it back, making it look like his ears are kind of tucked behind his cheek or his jaw. Um, Also, I do a lot of, I'm not sure what I'd call it, but to keep the caricature kind of flowing so there's not any unawkward shapes that would distract or not look right. I like to keep everything flowing or even. As you can see, the nose kind of stuck out as a piece of art as a whole. It kind of stuck out because that bottom circle came off the face. So in a little bit, you're going to see me kind of erase it, and I'm going to match it up where the jaw and the chin come up. I'm going to kind of tuck it back up just a little bit so that it's not distracting. There's a lot of things. If you can see the well, right there, I'm just testing out a few of the features. I'm doing the forehead. But on the top, as we look at him, as you're looking at him, his right cheek, the top part of his right cheek, if you drew a line, you can't see it right now because I'm filling in the cap, but the top cheek line, you see the top cheek line? If you drew a line straight across and you followed the top of the line of his cheek and you went all the way towards the left, it would match up with that ear. See that left ear? The top of that left ear, that line matches up with that. And there's plenty other features like that that kind of match up. And what that helps, it helps with the overall flow of the caricature. Especially when you're dealing with a face that's kind of soft or not. It doesn't have too many angles. Like the last caricature we drew with the muscle guy, or even the one before that one. Some faces have these real hard angles. They have these real sharp, distinct features, like an ear that kind of has a point at the top, or a nose that has a sharp dent right down the middle, or real sharp cheekbones or jaws that are kind of real pointy. This guy didn't really have that. His face, when you just glance at his face, the word came to mind was soft, or real soft. Basically, his features weren't very sharp. They were rounded. He kind of reminded me of the new Pope, but a little skinnier. But he had the same features of the Pope. He has this weird, funny-looking smile, smirk that he does. So it kind of reminded me of him. But again, his features are real soft. So it's basically you're kind of moving pieces of clay around. As I was sketching, I was kind of thinking that, and how can I make all these things smooth, and how can I make them work together and make it flowing? Because if without that, a lot of times I haven't erased it yet in the video, as you can see, but the nose, I haven't erased the nose part, and I'm about to. But just so it flows a little better. But let's see. But I took out that space between his top lip and the bottom of the nose. That area there, I really got to figure out the names of those features. It's pretty important. But that space, I kind of took it out, so the bags of his eyes are acting as his smile. I kind of took that out, and so that's one of the features that I took out that wasn't really important. But I tried to figure out how to make his smile distinct. But you see that nose, how it's coming off. In a little bit, I'm going to erase it and kind of even it out, so where it matches up against that jawline. right now I'm just shading and doing different things. But of course, you know, we could work on caricatures forever. It's never finished, I guess you could say. Um, but anyways, I'm just kind of making the glare, and eventually I kind of erase the glare. I don't like it too much. But I had a problem with this nose a little bit. But he has a funny looking nose. I just didn't want it to be distracting. Because when I took a step back, I kind of stood back a little bit as my cell phone it was uploading the video. I have to do that every hour. I have to stop drawing, but it kind of helps to stop drawing sometimes and kind of take a step back. I think it was Gene Mark. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right, but he said it's good sometimes to kind of take a step back and go take a break and come back to the caricature with, I think he said, fresh eyes or whatnot. But when I did that, when I took a step back, I was able to see that the nose is a little too distracting. And when you look at the pictures, his nose doesn't bring that much attention. But it's only when you pay close attention that you find that his nose is actually real long, and then he has this ball at the end of the nose, and then he has this dent. There's like this dent, this funny looking dent on the bottom of the nose. So, but again, it's not until you actually look at him closely that you find these features. So it's not that I didn't want to draw him, but it's because it's important to bring likeness and to do that for likeness, but I didn't want to exaggerate it too much because it wasn't one of the main features. So I'll be erasing that in a little bit, and I think it helped a little bit. But to draw the circles, I'm using, it's called an eraser shield. It's real thin. It's like a real thin foil paper, but it's much stronger. But it can cut you. It's pretty sharp. But it has different shapes, and you can put it over some pencil and do some erasing. So that's how I did those circles. So there I go, erasing it. So I'm erasing the nose, and I'm making it even with that jawline. So does that make sense now? I'm bringing it in just a little bit to kind of go even with that jawline. So see, I drew that line across. See that line right there? I drew that so that I can match it up with that nose. And the same thing I try to do with other features, just to kind of match it up. If you look at the caricature, the bottom, see that line? For example, as you're looking at the caricature, the right ear, if you draw a straight line straight down from that ear, it'll match up with the neck. Not the jaw that comes out, that flap, but if you draw a straight line from that right ear, bring it straight down to the neck, it'll even out with it. And that, I just found that kind of helps a little bit. It helps keep the flowing of the caricature, especially with this type of face that's kind of flabby and kind of soft, and everything's real put together nicely. So I kind of do that sometimes to kind of help. So now I'm just adding some details, making his eyes kind of bulgy a little bit. I'm adding the glare. I figured I put him on the wrong spot because the way the light is coming. My reference picture has the glares on that side too, or in that area. So I moved the glares a little bit. His pupils are real dilated. Not dilated. They were really tiny. What's the name? But they're real. Excuse me. They're real small. That's my baby in the background. I use a gum eraser a lot of times to erase, but sometimes I forget and I want to erase real quick, and I'll use that white stick eraser. It's kind of like a China marker, so it peels off, and you can peel it and make it, when it runs out, you peel the outside layers, and it's been a good tool. But it's like a China marker, but it's all eraser. But it does leave all those shavings and stuff that I don't like. But so now I'm just doing some background stuff, some strokes, and anyways, I hope you enjoyed my process there, and I'll see you next week. And I'll leave the link for the traditional caricature contest in the description box if you want to go visit and see other artists. See you next time.